Here's an interesting theory. Was the Battle of Catraeth, the famous battle of the Igodothin poem, the same as Aidan's battle against Athelfrith, the Battle of Degsastan? Now, since Degsastan is a bit difficult to say, I'm just not going to say it. So Aidan's battle against Athelfrith was the battle between King Aidan of Dalriada, the Irish kingdom in western Scotland, against Athelfrith of Northumbria. So this occurred, according to Bede, in about the year 603. He actually says that 603 was the year in which Athelfrith ended the war with Aidan, which implies that that may have been when that particular significant battle in the war was fought, but not necessarily. It could have been fought a few years earlier than the end of the war. But in any case, it happened in about the year 600. Now, that, obviously, if you know about the Battle of Catraeth, that's the approximate year in which the Battle of Catraeth is believed to have occurred. But aside from just that general similarity, why else might they have been the same? Well, the Battle of Catraeth was a very large event. It involved people from all over the north of Britain, basically from at least as far north as Edinburgh, probably as far south as at least northern Wales. So that's a very large area in which warriors came to fight against the Anglo-Saxons of Northumbria, the Anglo-Saxons of the kingdoms of Deira and Bernicia, which together were at some point in that period, probably by about the time the Battle of Catraeth was fought, they were united into the kingdom of Northumbria under the reign of Athelfrith. In any case, there were a lot of British warriors from a huge area in the north of Britain who fought against Northumbria, and this was an event which, supposedly the preparations for it took a whole year. So this was a very large battle, and lots of warriors are remembered as dying. It was remembered as a great tragedy by the Britons. So it was a massive event. Bede, however, in his overview of the reign of Athelfrith, he refers to King Aidan's battle against Athelfrith, and the fact that this is the only battle that he mentioned in his overview of Athelfrith's reign suggests that it was the most significant battle that took place during Athelfrith's reign. So it must have been a very big event, and that's supported by the fact that Bede specifically says that Aidan came against Athelfrith with a great and mighty army. So this was also a big event, and it took place again from the north of Britain. Dalriada was a bit further north than the British kingdoms, but it was more or less next to the kingdom which centred on Edinburgh, maybe a little bit further north, but it was basically next to the kingdom, the British kingdom that ruled over Edinburgh. So the attack came from the same kind of place, because especially since the King of Edinburgh is presented in Igodothin as the one who actually organised the event. So the attack came from more or less the same place, and it happened at more or less the same time, and it was against the same person, and they were both massive battles, massive campaigns. It would seem like quite a coincidence if these weren't actually part of the same event, the same campaign. And this is especially notable if we consider the fact that several medieval British records support the idea that Aidan was actually allied to several British kings. For example, he's said to have fought in the Battle of Catraeth as an ally to Gwendolen, if I've pronounced that right, I'm not sure. But that's just one example. He seems to have been an ally of some of the northern British kings. Now, given that he was the ally of the northern British kings, and the Battle of Catraeth was arranged in the north, near Dalriada, according to Igodothin, and we've got Aidan's own campaign at about the same time, it just seems like quite a coincidence that Aidan wouldn't have participated in the Battle of Catraeth, and then at about the same time, or just after, engaged in his own massive campaign against Athelfrith. That seems unlikely. If he was allied to the British kings, surely he would have participated as well. And if he participated as well, then, well, is there really a basis for saying that he actually went on 2 campaigns against Athelfrith? I think it's a more elegant solution to just suppose that his campaign against Athelfrith was the same as the British campaign against Athelfrith, since the British kings seem to have been his allies, and it happened at the same time. So I would say that that is a likely scenario. Not that there's any massive smoking gun that proves that his battle was the same as the Battle of Catraeth, but I do think it's a very reasonable suggestion. Maybe in the future some more evidence will come, which will shed some light on whether these were actually the same event, or whether they must have been different. Or maybe they were not actually the same battle. Maybe the battle that Bede mentions is a different battle from the Battle of Catraeth, but maybe they were part of the same campaign. In any case, perhaps future research will reveal more definitively one way or the other, but I do think it's a pretty compelling theory, so I wanted to explain that to you guys, and then tell me what you think in the comments below.